Previously on Libel the Bible.
Scott can't get past Moses murdering an Egyptian.
Or ordering thousands of men to be impaled.
I can't get past my hockey injuries.
The Israelites haven't been able to get past the Jordan River.
On Yahweh's command, they get ready to cross and settle in their promised land.
But first, their spies spend the night in a whorehouse.
Yahweh commands the Ark of the Covenant to lead the way into the land of milk and honey.
When the Levites carrying the ark enter the water, Yahweh stops the Jordan's flow to allow everyone to cross.
Good God.
Yes, that's just what the Hebrews thought.
The Israelites crossed the Jordan.
And now, episode 58 of Libel the Bible.
But are you ready for this?
Am I ready for what?
We're rolling now, man. We're
Why do you
rolling.
always do that, man?
We're rolling.
You're always fucking me up, man.
I'm Rusty.
I'm Scott, always the pelican, not the pelicant.
And this is Libel the Bible. I know you're writing those down ahead of time, right? You're not just coming.
I didn't write that one down, but yeah, I'm like, I'm writing them down and crossing them out, like not to use them again.
Yeah. I like how you're portraying yourself like as like the optimist, you know? Like I think each one has been like this bright, cheery like outlook.
Yeah,
like
I'll have to compile a list of them.
This one was the not the pelicant.
Yeah, I want to. You know where I got the inspiration from? When what's his name? Apollo Creed, not the new Creed, the old Creed, the Carl Weathers Creed.
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, what's the other guy's name?
The new Creed?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Oh. Creed
Rocky
Jr.
Rocky
Jr.
I don't know.
Like when he enters the ring, like against Rago, he's like the master of disaster, the king of sting. I retired more men in Social Security. I want to have that kind of flair in my life, man.
Right.
Do you remember Flair?
That's the match that he died at, right? He got his brain beat in so bad that he died convulsing in the middle of the ring.
So right before I get my ass beat, I'm going to say some shit like that.
I mean, if that's your inspiration.
I feel like I'm getting my ass beat every time I walk into the studio,
a bullshit
man.
jive talking boxer who got fucking killed in the ring.
What did Mike Tyson say, man? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Oh. I thought he said, "I'm gonna make you my bitch. I'll make you eat. I'll eat your whole asshole, you little white bitch."
Wait, where's the
you
threat
don't know that rant?
Where's the threat there?
I mean, I guess. You want your asshole eaten by Mike Tyson.
Do you want to say no to Mike Tyson?
I mean, I don't think there's gonna be any anesthesia. He's gonna go right at your asshole.
He's probably got a pretty strong tongue.
You ever see a bear eating like a deer or a moose?
I don't know.
So
I feel like I should have, right?
When you're killed by a cat will like suffocate you.
Like a house cat?
Any cat, a big cat.
Okay.
So whatever a cat kills, it suffocates. It goes right for the neck, right for the jugular. It waits, it suffocates you. You're dead, and then it eats you. A bear just starts eating you wherever it catches you. So if like you're running away from the bear and the bear jumps on you, it'll start eating your legs or through your back or whatever. The bear doesn't care about killing you first. It just eats you and you die as you're being eaten by the bear.
Especially the coked up ones, right?
That's right. That's so I have an art house movie theater in my neighborhood. It used to be art house. It used to be exclusively like indie movies. Now they've moved into like more popular movies. So that's going to be playing. The poster's already up for like Cocaine
I know that
Bear.
movie theater. And you know what it was before? It was an artsy movie theater.
A porn movie.
It was a porn theater, yeah.
I don't remember it from that.
Well, we were young.
I do remember it from being an indie theater. I loved it when it was an indie theater.
Yeah.
I saw The Aristocrats there. Do you know The Aristocrats?
The Aristocats?
No. You don't know about the Aristocrats?
No.
So it was a documentary, and the whole documentary was comedians being interviewed. Any comedian that you could think of was interviewed, because apparently there's a joke that comedians tell to one another, and the joke is called The Aristocrats. And so each comedian takes on his own, like, you can like improvise within the joke. But the basic premise of the joke is this family goes to like a talent agency. It's like a husband and wife and their kids, and they're supposed to describe what their act is. And like the act is supposed to be like filthy, like totally gross, sort of like Two Girls, One Cup, like anything you can invent, right? Yeah. So that is that is in which like the comedian is able to improvise the joke. So Jerry Seinfeld might tell it one way, Gilbert Gottfried might tell it another way, George Carlin. So the whole like documentary is about like this joke and how people tell the joke. So basically, it's like this whole long, drawn-out, like, disgusting, like, and then we're swinging from the trapeze naked, and then I jump off the trapeze, the trapeze, and, like, my dick lands in my daughter, and it's like this whole disgusting thing. And at the end, like, the talent agent is like, well, what do you call this act? And the guy's like, the Aristocrats. So that's, like, so there was a movie. So Amy and I went to see the Aristocrats at this, like, art house. It was a funny movie. And we went to see it like during a matinee showing, and it was like all these like elderly people in the theater. I'm talking about like geriatrics, like elderly people,
sure.
And they started walking out like 15 minutes into it because like, you know who told the creepiest, grossest version of it? Bob Saget. And this is back in the day before it was like known Bob Saget. Like this might have been he was Full House and then America's Funniest Home Videos. He was Mr. And I think that was like the movie where like he basically like it became known to the population that he was like really this filthy fucking comic.
Shed that image, man.
But it was funny. I don't even remember why I brought the movie theater. Yeah. So Cocaine Bear is playing at that art house movie theater.
You gonna go see that?
Cocaine Bear? Yeah. I'm not going to go see
So they charge a little extra in that theater because it's like artsy?
I don't know, but honestly, it's like a neighborhood staple, and they do contribute to the neighborhood, and I like having that theater there. Nice.
When they first renovated it and made it into like a regular theater, and I went, it was like the first theater I ever went to that like they had like the old-timey, it was like a cart. Like a salesman would push with the popcorn.
They
like
still have that there.
No way.
Yeah, they still have.
Dude, I haven't been in there like 20 years.
They still have that cart there.
Oh, it's probably not as clean and nice as when I.
No, the
saw
theaters. The theater now is like it's stadium seating. You have to reserve seating.
Oh, is it the big seats like most theaters?
It's like the big
the
seats.
reclining.
Yep,
Nice.
Yep. So
it's only one theater, right?
No, it's several. They have like
really?
I think 3 or 4, and so this is where Rodney Dangerfield was born.
Like in the theater.
Well, he wasn't born. It's the neighborhood. He's from that neighborhood. So on the back of the theater, there's like a little park, a little outdoor area where there's like a park.
Okay.
So it's down Austin Street. It's behind the theater. There's like a post office right behind. Mm-hmm. And between the post office and the theater, there's like a little outdoor seating area with a brick wall that's attached to the theater. And on that brick wall, there's a Rodney Dangerfield mural. And it is fucking horrific. Even Rodney Dangerfield's widow was like, what is this? Like,
even in death, he gets no respect.
It was like really bad. And that's what it says. It's like, it says like, I get no respect on it. But yeah, no, apparently he grew up living above Austin's.
The Ale House. Nice.
Yeah. So Rodney Dangerfield, big mural. And that's the story.
Yeah, I was parking over there.
So I'll see you next week, Scott.
All right,
I've done my job. See you later.
You got the stones to tell that story and leave?
I mean, house parking? I mean, is this what we're going to talk about? House parking? We can't come up with anything more fun to discuss.
It's best to leave now before we talk about the parking.
I like last week's episode. I listened to it. I thought it was our strongest episode. I don't say that, right? I don't come on air and say that.
You never really say much positive.
Well, that's so you know that I feel this way. There's some people, Scott. You don't know where you stand with them because they're always fake. It's like, oh, yeah. With me, you don't have to wonder. I
know where I stand with you. I feel like I'm standing, no pants on, no shoes on, in a puddle of water, about to stick my finger in an electric socket. That's where I feel I stand with you.
I'm still standing. Do 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 do.
Yeah. So how is the parking? That's why I don't go over that area, man. It's hard to park over there. Yeah. Just get my taxes done over there. You want to talk about something else really exciting, like my taxes?
No. How's your week?
The week was pretty good, man. A little different than last weekend. Like, had a lot of eating things. I went to a 1-year-old's birthday party yesterday.
Awful.
Oh no, that's my jam.
Is it?
No, it's nobody's jam.
Did they serve alcohol?
Not till like after everybody.
I mean,
left.
a 1-year-old's party. It's mostly adults.
Yeah, it's pretty much all adults.
Yeah, it's
Everybody called out sick. A lot of people, like a lot of kids, apparently have strep throat. Apparently, it's going around up where the party was at.
You don't want to talk about why we didn't record a few days ago? You were having like a rough day at work. You don't want to like relay that story?
No. I just got stuck out in Jersey and like just running around like crazy, and then the traffic coming back is what killed me.
Right.
You know,
Oh.
going through Manhattan. Come on, it's worse than coming from.
Oh, was it as
coming
bad
here.
as like getting misdirected like in the wilderness for 40 fucking years?
Misdirected?
A day in like
you
New
mean
Jersey?
bamboozled? Well, actually, it probably ages you just as much. Listen, Jersey wasn't the problem. It's getting through Manhattan to get back to Queens. Like,
Yeah.
we should lobby for like a route like that you can go like from like the Midtown tunnel
Bypass
like straight,
Manhattan.
like right through it. Yeah.
Why
right through
not?
it. Why not?
I mean, if they can build a large Hadron Collider, I mean, that thing is massive. You know what I mean?
Or Grand Central Madison. You heard about this East Side Access debacle?
Yeah.
It's $11 billion.
Why is it a debacle?
Because it doesn't. It's not worth. It wasn't worth the money.
The
You're
Grand
not,
Central, yeah.
Yeah, you're not bringing any more people into the system.
Right.
You just one more spot for Long Islanders to get off without having to go to Penn Station.
To get off.
All right, that brings us to the 12 stones set up in Gagal.
Why don't you tell the people in South Africa that are listening right now more about our transit system,
our fucking problems,
and our parking situation?
they think they got
And
problems
Scott's
over
like,
there.
yeah, I mean, they're like running from cheetahs and shit to listen to us. You know what I mean?
Really, in South Africa?
I don't know, but I don't know who,
Jesus.
I don't know which one of you fuckers out there is in South Africa, but fucking mad props to y'all for listening to us.
I appreciate that.
That shit's fucking cool, man. South Africa, right?
Considering that they're all running from cheetahs, right, Russ? They're all running from cheetahs.
I mean, look, what am I if I'm not racist? You know?
And considering cheetahs are a cat, and they could be smothered at any moment and eaten later.
Well, a cheetah, you can actually fight off a cheetah. Like, a cheetah wouldn't really, they're too small to, like, hunt like humans. Maybe, like, a really hungry cheetah, but a cheetah's preference would not be to, like, attack a human.
You've had house cats, right? You have house cats now, right?
Yeah.
Yo. I'm like, why is anybody afraid of a cat? And then I saw a cat, like, attack somebody.
Nah, man, cats...
Their paws move so fucking fast. They claw you, man, crazy. So imagine what a cheetah could do to you.
They will attach themselves to your body and like stick on you and like. Well, the thing with a house cat, is they're small. A cheetah, you would just be able to like fucking punch it, and you could do up a cheetah. I'm telling you, their heads are little. They don't weigh that much. You could totally fuck up a cheetah.
All right. You couldn't catch one though if they ran.
I mean, people have like fought off like mountain lions in the U.S. and mountain lions are bigger than cheetahs.
Yeah, and there's no video footage of any of that shit.
Like lions, that's a whole different story. You know what I mean? Like a lion attacks you.
Fuck them.
There was like a period of time where like whenever, like early on in my courting of like what became my wife.
What became my wife? Okay.
when we were dating, you know, we would eventually get married. Early on in our courting. Anytime like an animal would like show up like on TV or if we were in a zoo, I would always make her laugh by like telling her like, this is what you would have to do in a fight with this particular like animal, you know? So like with a goose, it would be like you grab the goose by its neck and like slam it into the ground, like slam its body or, you know, like things like that.
That's funny you said that because when I was in the dentist a couple weeks ago and I you know, they were running late. So I started going through my phone and it's like how to survive a goose attack. And basically, yeah, you don't run from geese.
No, you got to stand your ground because they're going to keep chasing you.
Not only that, most people, like a goose isn't really going to fuck you up that much, even if it catches you.
Yeah.
I mean, it can do some damage. It poke your eye out.
It's got like a bill.
But most injuries that happen are people like tripping over shit because they're running scared
away.
from a goose. Yep. So like,
that's a thing too, by the way, that I've learned. Falling when you're running away from something. People fall when they're running from things.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
every
of
horror
panic,
movie.
like panic sets in.
Every fucking horror
but
movie.
Apparently it happens in real life. It's a real life thing that happens.
That's why we don't run, motherfucker.
It's weird. So,
See,
so what's the point of like fight or flight? What flight? You know, it's crash landing, fight or crash land.
Yeah, why use flight? Yeah, taking flight. But bullshit. I think the Wright brothers would be like not nice, not looking upon us nicely, throwing that word around after they work so hard for flight.
Fuck the Wright brothers.
Oh, look at me, I'm flying. No, you're running, you dick. Don't even know simple fucking words. Speaking of simple words, I've tried to segue into this fucking Bible story, man, like 3 times now.
Which Bible story?
Joshua 4.
Oh, really? We're starting the Bible already?
I said, you got the stones to say this? And I was like, that brings us to 12 stones, and you just ignored me.
Okay. I didn't realize. I didn't think we were going to start. So
What am I going to do? Talk about a 1-year-old birthday party, my taxes, or parking in your neighborhood? What do I got? What do I bring to the table on a night like this?
Nothing to talking about.
I don't know. I really it wasn't that exciting of a week.
I'm glad you put some thought into our content.
Drinking vodka.
Nice.
I didn't go.
Is it going to liven you up? Is it going to put words in your mouth tonight?
No, it's a depressant, man.
Oh, great. All right. So we've got this 12 stones set up at Gilgal.
I don't want to talk about that. I'm depressed. These stones are weighing me down.
All right. So in our last episode, these motherfuckers, they crossed over the Jordan, I guess signifying their entrance into the land that has been promised to them for many generations.
Yeah. I don't know what excites me more, the fact that they're finally crossing into the promised land.
That's right.
Or the fact that Moses is gone and there's a new player in town and we get to see the exploits of Joshua.
I think it's all exciting.
I think it's going to be
And by the way, there's another new thing. These Israelites, it's a new generation of Israelites. They appear to follow like orders. At least for now, they're following orders.
Yeah.
You know what it's like? It's like when you have like a big blowout, like with, your wife or your girlfriend or whoever. And then you're like,
and some other girl comes around.
And then you have like that, you have that makeup talk, and then you resolve to change things and then you do for 2 weeks, and then you slowly settle back into old habits.
So you're thinking this can't last, huh?
I'm thinking the Israelites for now, they're going to be loyal to Yahweh's word, do what's asked, loyal to Joshua, but eventually, yeah.
You know why? Because Joshua's probably not going to lead them into battle. They're not going to make them kill a bunch of people. It's a whole new world
no,
for
absolutely.
the
Because Yahweh says this is your land, so I don't expect any battles to happen. Yeah, no more killings.
It's probably going to get really boring actually from here.
It's a bright new day, Scott. So, the 12 stones set up at Gilgal. This is Joshua 4.
Yep.
When the entire nation had finished crossing over the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Select 12 men from the..." What the fuck are you laughing at? You laugh at the voice of Yahweh?
I'm sorry, it's the
You
vodka.
motherfucker. All right. The Lord said to Joshua...
Yahweh, he didn't mean it. He's just been drinking. It's all right. I'll take care of him.
Select 12 men from the people. By the way, why do I have to do this with my arm? I've got my arm raised above my head in a fist, and I'm waving it back and forth as I speak, because it's the authority of Yahweh.
You're at a union rally or something. What do we want? Wages. When do we want them now?
Select 12 men from the people, 1 from each tribe, and command them, take 12 stones from here out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood. Carry them over with you and lay them down in the place where you camp tonight. So Joshua did not do that, right? Or he did do that.
Well, he's going to do that.
He's going to do that, yeah.
But what I'm asking is, and lay them down in the place where you camp tonight, was that spot already picked out? Or now these motherfuckers got to carry these stones until they find a spot to camp?
I think one is going to go hand in hand with the other. Joshua's yo, we should Yahweh wants us to put the stones where we camp tonight. And the people carrying the stones are oh, here?
No, see that mountain far off in the distance?
Right.
And what if they all decide to camp at different spots?
No, because they can camp in different spots because way back in either Deuteronomy or Numbers or one of those, or maybe even Exodus, God specifically laid out how they're supposed to camp when they're on the move, remember?
Absolutely right. The quadrants and the sectors. That
so they know exactly how they're going to camp.
Nice.
All right. So
good callback, man.
Yeah. So we move. Yo, man. We're watching shit now, and I'm I point something out about an inaccuracy that someone says about the Bible, and Amy's holy fucking shit, how do you know? I'm come on. It's amazing how many biblical references there are constantly occurring.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
It's all out there, man. It's all out there.
Well, to finish this part, remind me, I do have a story from yesterday that I could
so
shoehorn in here.
Let's go to verse 6 now, Joshua 4, verse 6. When your children ask in time to come, right?
Yep.
What do these, this is Joshua addressing the people. When your children ask in time to come, what do those stones mean to you? Oh, excuse me. Then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off in front of the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the Israelites a memorial forever.
So you know what? When they say, what do these stones mean to you? That's kind of worded awkwardly. It shouldn't be what they mean to me. It's what they mean. It's what they represent. It's not my interpretation. What do they mean to you, Dad? No, it's what they mean, not what they mean to me.
What do they mean?
It's a fucking memorial forever of how the ark stopped the water and fucking they crossed the Jordan.
Yep.
I mean, if you can have a memorial, it's pretty good memorial, pretty important. Like
that's impressive.
There's like a plaque on the side of like the highway, like when where some shit happened.
I mean, I think it was more impressive when the ark killed like all those Nazis. You know,
we haven't gotten to that point, dude. Man, you like jumping ahead, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
Cool.
So and then it's just like we have all these examples of everyone following orders, like not like stepping left or right out of the path of Yahweh's command, right? So the priests, they're still like hanging out in the water because like...
Yeah, did you find out it seemed like all this shit was a little bit out of order? I don't mean the whole fucking congregation was out of order,
right.
like they're out of order.
You're
out
of order.
I mean, like it's written down like shit should have happened before and after, and it was very strange.
But I again, the whole Bible is written this way because who knows from verse to verse who wrote it and at what period of time it was written.
Right. So,
it's a mishmash.
So Joshua, what are we on 4? Verse 8.
Yeah.
The Israelites did as Joshua commanded. They took up 12 stones out of the middle of the Jordan. So didn't realize the water's still not flowing.
The water's not flowing, right. That's why
So,
the Levites are still there.
Right. So go out to the middle of the Jordan, pick up 12 stones, and then go where you're camping and lay them down there. So he does not yet say specifically where these stones came from, except for the middle of the Jordan.
So is the Jordan River like in England where Stonehenge is? Is that
what?
That's right.
Oh, man.
I tried doing like a dad joke.
Yeah.
It's like I should stick to just vulgarities.
Yeah, I like the dad joke.
I'm better at vulgarity and being off-putting.
What do you call a sleeping dinosaur?
What?
Z-Rex. Okay, so
All
in
right,
verse 9, in parentheses, Joshua set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant had stood, and they are there to this day. So wait a minute. So 12 people went and got stones, pulled them out of the Jordan, and put them in the camp, while Joshua took 12 stones and went to where the priests were and put stones near their feet to mark those spots. Okay, all right.
So maybe
so that's what happened.
So eventually the river's going to start flowing again,
right?
And for whatever reason, he wanted to mark the spot where the ark itself was. The stones are there to be visible. The 12 stones where they camp are there for visibility.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
All right, because once the river's flowing, nobody can go down there and look at those stones. Right. Okay, fair enough.
But he knows it'll be there forever.
That's nice.
Even though he doesn't really understand physics and how the water slowly over time will, like,
if 6,000 years, they're probably still there, depending on like kind of like
the
how
size
big,
of the rocks.
Depends on how big, like the size of his stones.
Fair enough.
So, verse 10, the priests who bore the ark remained standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything was finished that the Lord had commanded Joshua to tell the people, according to all that Moses had commanded Joshua. Right. I gotta think they were like, yo, this thing is fucking heavy. Can we hurry the fuck up?
I don't think so, because they're constantly walking with the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant leads the way. Remember, it goes like it's like in the vanguard, I think.
True. Yeah, it usually leads. Yeah, because it went ahead. It stopped the river, and then they had to wait for all these stiff necks to cross. We're not going to call them stiff necks anymore, man.
Yeah, this is a new generation.
All right. They crossed the river, and they probably thought, all right, they're going, we're almost done. And then Joshua goes, wait, let me get some stones and put them by your feet.
Well, no, Joshua explained to them like everything that's going on.
Yeah. So, and then it says, the people crossed over in haste.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear somebody say they did something in haste, to me that usually means they did it carelessly, they were running late. So I want to reword this to the people crossed over with haste.
Okay.
That seems more determined. So I'm going to ask for an amendment to the Bible here.
Why do you think they did that? Why do you think they crossed over with haste? Do you think like they thought like, they didn't believe that the ark was going to hold off like the water this whole time.
Yeah, they're probably like, holy shit, let's move, let's go.
See, so I would say if this was the old school Israelites who were constantly doubting Yahweh's power, I would say yes. But this generation, these are like crazy zealots. I think it's more along the lines of like when you're sneaking into enemy territory, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to get to like camp as soon as possible.
Yeah, don't be casual about it, man. Just fucking... Or maybe somebody that was holding the ark told somebody else to tell somebody else, make this fast because it is heavy.
Yeah,
man.
somebody told somebody, told somebody, told somebody.
As soon as all the people had finished crossing over, the ark of the Lord and the priests crossed over to the front of the people. Now, I highlighted this because further on, it sounds like it's out of order again. But you've had a good way of clearing this up for me.
Yeah. So the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed over armed before the Israelites, as Moses had ordered them. About 40,000 armed for war crossed over before the Lord to the plains of Jericho for battle. So a 40,000 like strong army, that's no fucking joke, man. That's a lot of goddamn people. That's like City Field coming at you.
Yeah. With God, not after the seventh inning, I hope. Half them ain't making it.
Well, they're high on like God's command.
Yeah, sniffing that manna, man. It's like cool. Manna bear.
Yeah.
On that day, the Lord exalted Joshua in the sight of all Israel, and they stood in awe of him as they had stood in awe of Moses all the days of his life. Okay, a couple things with this. First of all, how did he exalt Joshua in front of them? Like, there's no details on this. Like, nothing about a cloud and a plume and a fire. Like, nothing, just he exalted him. Like, this is kind of like a big deal, right? I want to see some fucking sleight of hand tricks, card parlor tricks, something. And they stood in awe of Moses all the days of his life. Well, I guess if you look at somebody and go, damn, you fucked up. I guess that could be awe.
Yeah.
There could be a sense of awe.
Yeah. I mean, look. Yeah. Like, what would you like him to do? Like, would you like him to, like, a ceremony, like a coronation where he sits Joshua, like, on a throne somewhere and descends, like, in his cloud of smoke and says, listen, all you people, like, this is... Didn't Moses already do that with Yahweh?
Yeah, but this is new. It's a whole new generation, man.
No, but I'm saying right before they crossed over, right before Moses died, Moses
maybe
introduced Joshua and like
maybe
they know he's like exalted.
I still think, listen, the C-3PO thing.
I hear you, man.
Raise him
a
up
ceremony's
in front of the Ewoks,
nice.
spin him around on his throne.
Yeah,
and
listen,
like,
it's one thing to
like
like
a ceremony. I want to see a trick. I want to see like a fucking miracle.
Like
Exalted.
Like raining frogs or...
Oh, I'm exalting you. Oh, those are just words, buddy.
Right.
Actions, man. Right. Actions.
Right. That's just the title. Where's my fucking pay raise?
Oh, exalted one. Yeah.
Right.
How about, one who can turn fishes into Volkswagens? Like, that would be more impressive.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Verse 15, the Lord said to Joshua. Explain to me why verse 15 is just the Lord said to Joshua. And then verse 16 is what he actually said to Joshua.
I don't know how
Why was that split up?
I don't know.
The Lord said to Joshua, full stop, let's discuss that. The Lord said to Joshua, command the priest who bear the ark of the covenant to come out of the Jordan. Joshua therefore commanded the priest, come up out of the Jordan. But they already did. This is what I mean. It's all out of order.
No, when did they do that?
A couple verses ago.
Oh,
as soon as the people had finished crossing over, the ark of the Lord and the priest crossed over to the front of the people.
Okay.
They had already crossed over, so they're out of the river.
So they're like backtracking. They're letting you know, like, you know, the priests were there. Everybody obeyed. Everybody did everything that needed to be done.
Do you think this is a bunch of dudes telling a story around like a campfire? And then, like we do, like we're just doing this, right? And then, you forgot about this part. Go back a minute. Remember when he said, come out of the river? Like maybe it's just that.
So we've had this conversation.
We have?
Yes.
Shit.
Well, not specifically.
I bring nothing new to this table.
All right. I'm glad we have that on recorded. No. So we didn't have the conversation specifically about this, but we had a conversation where we discussed back in the day, there was no clean drinking water. So everybody was going around drunk all the time. They were drinking wine or beer, right? So it's like there are going to be these errors because people are fucking drunk.
All right. So when the priest bearing the ark of the covenant of the Lord came up from the middle of the Jordan, and the soles of the priest's feet touched dry ground, the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and overflowed all its banks as before. Imagine it overflowed even more.
Yeah, why
and,
would
like,
they?
drowned all these fucks.
No.
You should have held it back a little longer.
All right, so then they like camped, and on the 10th day they came out, and verse 20, those 12 stones that they had taken out of the Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilgal, saying to the Israelites, when your children ask their parents in time to come, what do these stones mean? Then you shall let your children know. Israel crossed over the Jordan here on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you crossed over, as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up for us until we crossed over, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, and so that you may fear the Lord your God forever.
We're going to get right back to the show, but before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
We explore the encroachment of religion onto secular institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and government.
In addition, we'll investigate whether religion practices what it preaches.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/Libel to Bible and join in the conversation.
And now, back to the show. So, he's like explaining to them, like, never fucking forget, bros. This is where we crossed over. Look at these 12 stones. Get a good look at them. So that when your fucking kids are like, what the fuck is this? You fucking let them know.
I would like to see some stones back on the other side, too. So you can see it from both sides. Like, this is where we waited. Then the water went up, and then this is where we crossed. That would have been nice.
Like a whole series of stones.
And maybe in the future, they'd be like one of them headphone tours, Like you get to.
Oh yes, right.
Wait here for the water to stop.
Sure.
I like when they say, just like your God did in the Red Sea. One of the kids should be like, I don't see no drowned Egyptians. This isn't just like how we did it at the Red Sea.
Yeah. Well, people today, they don't even believe that the earth is round or that we landed on the moon. So I would suspect back then it would be hard to, it's a hard sell to tell kids, Yahweh, he parted the Red Sea. Sure he did, Dad.
Yeah. Do you think when people, landed on the moon, they were like, 50 years from now, there's going to be some dumbasses that act like we didn't do this?
No, I don't think they thought that.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think they thought, I hope no one discovers our fraud on the public.
Let's burn this soundstage to the ground.
You know what I wanted to talk about that I completely forgot to talk about? So we just finished Joshua 4. We're going to move on to Joshua 5. But I thought of something that I wanted to commemorate, actually. I wanted to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Columbia breaking apart. Coming back from space. I read a lot of articles this week about
February
it.
1st, 2003.
I mean, we are talking about Yahweh. He was a spaceman, so...
Yeah. Oh, shit, yeah.
Right. Possibly even a human from the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
So whatever. Do you remember where you were?
I know exactly where I was.
Where were you?
I was in the apartment that we used to cohabitate at after you had left. I was hanging out. And I got a phone call on my landline, I think it was, and my father told me.
It was a Sunday morning.
I'll never forget my father saying these words. They lost the space shuttle.
Yeah.
And you know me, I was always big into the fucking watching the space shuttle and stuff. So, so I got to see it disintegrating live, or whatever footage, obviously not live. That'd be suspicious if I had a camera just as it started disintegrating.
I was doing seasonal work at H&R Block in Brighton Beach, and that's when I found out. And for some reason, I got to tell you, when that happened, I think it was because it was so soon after 9/11, and we were on our way to a war.
Yeah.
There was so much shit going on that was terrible. I didn't get as invested in following what happened and so now this 20th anniversary, I really took the opportunity to read more. I knew the broad details. I knew about the foam insulation. I knew that they didn't know about it until after the fact. I'm reading the report, so they didn't really know about it. They saw that it fell off. Right. Once the space shuttle was up in orbit, they saw that it had fallen off, but it was also a routine thing that happened, so they didn't know the extent of the damage. They could have had an extravehicular excursion, right? Like a spacewalk to look at it. They chose not to do it. So yes, there were obviously a whole bunch of mistakes, but also thinking about the way the astronauts died
Oof.
on the way in. So,
No.
so what happened was some of them didn't even have like their helmets on yet. So some of them died from colliding like as the shuttle was breaking apart, right? At a certain point, the shuttle started breaking apart. One person was still working, trying to like pushing buttons or whatever as like it was breaking apart. Oh. Other people were like slamming into things. Some people passed out from like a loss of pressure, and some people may have just died like hitting the ground. So
nobody hit the ground alive.
This is what I'm reading.
No,
so
there's no way, man.
There's all these possibilities. Well, we don't know, but it was.
I don't even think a full body made it to the ground.
They recovered everybody.
I don't think
everybody was recovered.
Not as full bodies. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
All right. You think they were just torn apart in the air? You get torn apart?
Yeah.
You can't just fall?
They were way to fuck up there. And from what I didn't read the article you just sent yesterday. From what I remember was they had enough telemetry data to know that pilot was flying it, and even after it was falling apart.
Yes.
Like he was trying to recover it.
It's amazing.
And it just came apart in pieces. So there's no way at that altitude. They were so high when that thing. There's just no way.
So you're saying if it can rip apart like the shuttle, it would rip apart a human body?
Sure, especially that speed.
But there was that one guy that jumped from like space. Remember that Red Bull like guy?
That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like when you're in orbit, you're doing 17,500 miles an hour. The reason you're going so fast is to avoid falling straight down. You have to be faster than the pull of gravity. I don't know the vocabulary, right? Well, the guy that jumped from space, he was pretty much stationary. Right. So he started at 0 miles an hour. Right. When he hit the atmosphere, he was doing 0.
Oh,
so gravity sped him up to terminal velocity or whatever it is.
I understand.
They hit the atmosphere at 17,500.
So they were just burning up from the friction of the atmosphere.
There was no way anybody survived that. It was down in one piece. There was parts of that shuttle like across like 5 states.
Yeah. So that was pretty horrific. And then I guess because I was because I was reading articles about that and watching news stories about that this week, I guess the algorithm picked up on that, and I wound up getting a video of the Challenger launch in '86. But specifically, it was the teacher who was the backup to Krista McAuliffe watching the launch. Have you seen that video?
Yes.
So I saw that.
She went up, finally.
She did go up.
She went up, finally,
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. So, so in our lifetime, the Challenger, they say, we've never lost like an American in space, but we've lost Americans in flight.
I got to tell you, technically, if you're above 100 kilometers, which is 66 miles, that's what they call the Kármán line. Okay. That's the line they say makes you an astronaut. So they've given people posthumously.
You said posthumously. You said 66 miles?
66 miles.
How far
is the edge of space?
I don't even know what that means, bro. 60, you know what I'm saying? Like, so 66 miles would get me to 67 miles, I'm in the darkness of space.
Yeah, figure on a commercial airliner, you're like 7 miles up. So you have to go 66 miles. So think that's how much higher that is.
That's not that far.
It's not that hard, but it's hard to get there. If you think about it,
that's not even like the length of Long Island.
It's hard to get there,
If you stand Long Island up, you would be up in space.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy to think
would be
about.
like at the space.
Space is like right there on top of us, bro.
Yeah, man.
We gotta do something about that. It's a vacuum.
We need to shoot something at it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So what was I saying? I'm saying, offhand, I don't remember how high they started breaking up, but it was pretty high up.
It was really high up.
So they were technically probably above the Kármán line, which would make them in space. So they died in space.
Well, okay.
I mean, they died. Well, but you died because of the friction of the atmosphere. So how can you
what
call
we're
that
talking
space?
about. So when they say they didn't die in space, like nobody's like floating in the coldness of space. You know about that Russian cosmonaut? Have you seen the photos?
The photos?
Oh, bro, you don't know that there's like a photo? Yes.
Maybe you're talking about the woman who died.
No, I'm gonna pause the recording right now. I'm gonna show Scott this picture.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Is it gonna?
You don't want to do that?
No, is it gross?
I mean, it's not. It's. I'll show it to you after the show.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
a picture of
Don't throw me off this game.
whoever's listening right now. I forgot the man's name,
Sergey. They're all Sergey.
but you can look up dead Russian cosmonaut, and they're just go to the images, and you'll see it's like he died on his way down because I guess his heat shield like failed, and he knew he was dying, and like the whole way down, like he was just fucking cursing them out because he had warned them. He took over the mission from Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin was supposed to go, but the guy was like, yo, Gagarin is a national treasure, and this flight is doomed for fucking failure because he knew they were sending it up anyway.
Wow.
This is my understanding. You can fact check me. I don't know if I'm making this up, but for some reason I think this is the story. So he's like, Gagarin is a fucking national hero. This is not how he's gonna die. So he took his place. And then like there's a photo of like Russian like generals standing around like a metal like table, and it's like his charred like remains.
I have seen that. He looked like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
I don't know what that is,
From
but
Star Wars.
I don't know. No, because those were skeletons. This looked more like a meteor. It looked like a rock because like it was so charred and like burned up, and it wasn't his whole body.
Well, it's funny that you said that he knew it. That's the big problem I had with the Columbia disaster, because from what I understand, engineers and people that watched the videos over and over again said it looked like they knew there was an impact. Even before the investigation went on, right after liftoff, they knew.
So what we're talking about is there's like foam insulation on the outside of like the shuttle.
The external tank.
The tanks. And at a certain point during liftoff, like the heat like melted like a piece of like something hit off. Something it broke off, and then that piece that broke off like punctured something.
It hit the leading edge of one of the wings.
Okay, now usually though that shit happens all the time. Like that insulating foam used to come off during takeoff from the heat all the time.
Not the size of the piece,
but it just happened that like the size of the piece hitting a certain spot at the right angle, like fucked up any possibility for re-entry.
Right. So apparently they knew about it, and they begged like the woman that was in charge of whatever at the time, the operations, to ask the Department of Defense to turn spy satellites onto the shuttle to see if they can see if there was damage. And basically she was like, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. There's no way to fix it. So they were doomed because somebody didn't take decisive action.
So I sent you an article as part of the overall investigation, because it's like an exhaustive, extensive investigation.
Ooh. Okay, sorry.
So I sent you the article where part of the investigation asked the question, if we like wanted to come up with a contingency plan to fix it, would we have been able to? And so did you read that article at all?
I didn't read anything you sent me, no. But it's probably something I've read or something along the lines.
So they went through because the shuttle Endeavour was scheduled to make some kind of something. So they were figuring out a way to like set that up. But then there was a problem with like weight and like all these logistical problems. But the bottom line is they could have maybe.
They could have fucking tried.
Right.
It would have been the most amazing rescue in the history of rescues.
Right. It would have been a Tom Hanks movie.
But I'll say this. So when I went to the Smithsonian down outside of D.C.
That's cool.
You know, the airspace one where they have the hangar outside, not the actual main Smithsonian. They had this hangar with all the famous things. They had a wing they had just opened up for the space shuttle, and they had Enterprise in there.
Nice.
Right? Now they have Discovery.
By the way, you know what I don't like about the Enterprise? That stupid cone on the back of it.
Well,
that cone's dumb. I like to see like the boosters.
They dropped it without the cone a couple of times.
Are those called the boosters?
No, those are the SSMEs, the Space Shuttle main engines.
Okay, the main engine. Sorry, the boosters are like the ones that fall off. So,
funny fact, Artemis uses the exact same engines as the Space Shuttle. They use Space Shuttle main engines for the 4 main engines of the Artemis missions. But so when I was at this Air and Space Museum, they had Enterprise there. And what was crazy, they were doing stuff, so the pieces were missing. But on the port side wing, the leading edge, there was a piece about 4 feet long missing from in the beginning. In the front of the wings, it's all black. It's a carbon heat shield. There's a 4-foot piece missing. And I was like, oh, I know what that's for. They removed it for testing to see if the foam could have damaged Columbia.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. Like, it was right there on display, but with no plaque, nothing knowing. But I was like, I know why that's missing.
Right.
It was pretty fucked up.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to know, but it's also like ominous, right?
Yeah,
It's like thinking about those poor people and their families. But, you know, we think about them, you know, and
I don't think about them as I don't think of them as humans. I don't think of them so much sometimes specifically.
you think about them as people that have helped advance the human race and human culture and like the possibilities, not limitless, but like whatever we can think of. I feel if you can think of it, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
Because if we couldn't think of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we couldn't do it, we wouldn't be able to think of it.
That's why I get a little annoyed when they talk about the pyramids. How could they ever have been built? It must have been aliens.
It's already been proven.
No, it's like humans, when they decide to do some shit, they're going to do some shit.
Yeah.
So
it took like, tens of 20s of 30s of 40s of years, but...
Yeah, I just made a joke up in my head.
Go ahead.
Check it out, man.
Yeah.
Yo, after the Columbia accident, I even challenged her, like, yo, what'd the Russian astronaut agency say about 7 dead NASA astronauts? What do they call it? It's a good start. No, I just fumbled through that joke.
That was terribly told, bro.
Awful.
Terribly told.
Yeah, cut that out, man. That wasn't funny.
All right, so that gets us. Thanks for that car crash. So let's segue into the Bible again. Joshua 5. The new generation circumcised. So this is a section that our intactivist friend might want to listen to.
This is ridiculous.
We had an interesting conversation through text with him today about it started as intactivism and it turned into trans rights. But that's neither here nor there.
No.
Now we are here for the circumcisions. When all the kings of the Amorites beyond the Jordan to the west and all the kings of the Canaanites by the sea heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan for the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts melted, and there was no longer any spirit in them because of the Israelites. You think it's so much that, or you think it's the 40,000 armed like fucking soldiers?
No, the prostitute told them.
The prostitute
in the last episode, their hearts were melted already. So what heart do they have left to melt?
So here's my confusion.
Here comes the neighborhood.
So this is understandable, right? Like the Amorites, the Canaanites, they're quaking in their boots. They see all these people, right? So not only are the numbers, it's what Yahweh is able to do. This is kind of out of left field, though, now. At that time, the Lord said to Joshua, make flint knives and circumcise the Israelites a second time. Right? So they've all just crossed over the Jordan where their enemies are. Mm-hmm. And the first, maybe like conquer Jericho.
Sure. Yeah.
Then circumcise. Not circumcise and then conquer.
You know what? First, when I read this, I giggled because it was like, circumcise the Israelites a second time. And I was like, wait a minute. How do you get a second circumcision? Like, wait, what are you cutting off now?
They fucked up the first time.
Yeah.
No.
But like you said, it shouldn't be a priority. But maybe it should even be less of a priority because when you're going into battle, wouldn't just one more extra piece of skin be a piece of protection that you'd want?
Maybe it makes you lighter, Maybe like...
maybe faster without it?
Faster on your feet.
Okay.
And if they didn't do this, then this awesome place, Gibbeth Haraleth, would not exist. Scott, what is Gibbeth Haraleth?
Because they like to name things. It's another... it's Yiddish, I guess, for the hill of the Foreskins.
It's not Yiddish.
Whatever it is, man.
Yiddish is an Eastern European, like, pig... What?
It's Hebrew?
Probably Hebrew.
All right. Well, it's Hebrew for the hill of the Foreskins.
The hill of the Foreskins.
So, I didn't Google this.
That's a lot of foreskins if it's a hill.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's the whole congregation, right?
A mound would be a lot of foreskins. This is a hill.
A hill. And hills can be huge. It's like Hamburger Hill.
Flints.
So, he said Joshua made flint knives. Like, Joshua made all the knives? He didn't bid that out.
Well, I think Josh was like, so it's kind of like Jeff Bezos, like,
it's like when Reagan did this, or Obama did that.
He ordered the knives to be made,
okay.
right.
Right.
So all the males of the people who came out of Egypt, all the warriors, had died during the journey through the wilderness after they had come out of Egypt. So they're talking about the first generation, like the original, the OG Israelites. Although all the people who came out had been circumcised, yet all the people born on the journey through the wilderness after they had come out of Egypt had not been circumcised.
I got a problem with that.
So this is why the Lord wants these circumcisions. It's very important. Remember, he was going to kill Moses until Moses' wife circumcised his child.
This is bullshit, man. The congregation and Yahweh himself forgot. Because it was very clear, like, you're supposed to get this done, like, on the 8th day, right?
That's right.
You were wandering in the desert for 40 years.
And they were very specific. Like, you got to follow this and this and this.
So now you've got people that conceivably could be 40 years old at this point, have not been circumcised.
Yes.
What kind of adult at 40 years old would get circumcised? But that's a whole other story.
See, but I think you brought up a more interesting point that I hadn't considered. Why weren't they circumcised? Yeah. Why wasn't Yahweh furious?
Because those 40 years they were wandering around, they weren't that busy. They obviously weren't in a rush to get anywhere. They had time to do this.
Or he punished their parents. Their parents didn't circumcise them. And he was like, you are not getting into the land that I promised, but your kids will. So, like, they are blameless. The kids are not to blame for the fact that their parents did not circumcise them.
Do you think, he uses as another excuse not to allow them entrance? Like, look, you didn't even circumcise your kids.
Yep.
Oh, you forgot that too. I don't know. This circumcision is a little weird, man.
It is weird. It's weird how that gets a priority.
Does Gibeath Haraloth, if we Google that, will we find that place today? Like, does it still exist? That would be awesome.
Where is that place? The hill of the Foreskins.
I don't know.
All right. When the circumcising, I'm down at, I'm down Joshua 5, verse 8. When the circumcising of all the nation was done, they remained in their places in the camp until they were healed. Fuck yeah, they did.
Yeah. You know,
circumcision's no fucking joke.
That's got to be great. You know what would really suck? Like if they were convalescing and some dicks with swords came in and fucking killed everybody. What kind of a scumbag would do that?
Who would do that?
That would be poetic justice.
Certainly not the children of the man who these people are named after. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. The Lord said to Joshua, today I have rolled away from you the disgrace of Egypt. And so that place is called Gilgal to this day.
Because what does that mean?
Gilgal.
Gilgal means rolled away from Egypt.
It means rolled.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. Like, you know what else rolled means? Like, to pull a prank on someone. Like, you got rolled. Or like a drunk coming out of a bar gets rolled for his money. That is what Yahweh's doing to these people.
I've been rickrolled a couple times coming out of bars.
There you go. Joshua's vision. Joshua's going to have a vision.
Wait, before we get to that, the Passover at Gilgal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I skipped that part. Yes, absolutely.
So apparently it happened during the Passover. So they were chilling at Gilgal, and the manna ceased on that day. Like, so they were still eating manna.
Yes,
manna, whatever it is.
Manna the whole time.
I'm sure they didn't miss that. I'm sure that had to be good.
Well, they're not complaining.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, they didn't know anything else. Their parents were like used to eating like goat and cow. These kids, they don't know anything but like breast milk and manna.
Really? This is 40 years they've been eating fucking manna?
Well, they're not 40, but like let's say they're 20. Some might be 30.
The oldest one could be 40.
Sure, the oldest one could be 40.
The Israelites no longer had manna. They ate the crops of the land of Canaan that year, and I feel that should be said with emphasis. Like, yeah, bitches, yeah, we eating crops from Canaan this year, you know, that kind of
They probably like picked up like an orange and they're like, what the fuck is this, man?
What is this with substance and taste
like
and flavor?
Eat like the skin?
That you
with
know
the
what?
sticker on it?
Those are the type of people. These people probably go to restaurants and order like steak well done, like burned to a crisp.
Yeah. Don't even try the ramen.
By the way, I watched the Saturday Night Live clip. Pedro Pascal, The guy that plays.
I know
yeah,
Pedro
yeah.
Pascal.
He's like the guest, and like people around the restaurant.
Narcos.
Yeah.
He was in Game of Thrones.
They're at a
He's
restaurant.
The Mandalorian, Last of Us.
Well, it doesn't even matter that he's in it. But they had a scene where they're all in a restaurant, and one girl there ordered like a steak, like super well done. So the whole skid are trying to cut the steak, and the whole table's shaking, so everything's falling on their laps and everything. And the funny part about it was the actors couldn't contain their laughter. That's always funny, like when they break character.
Sure.
And so yeah.
Apparently, Lorne Michaels hates that. Lorne Michaels.
He seems like a serious dude.
It. Yeah, people make fun of him though. You know who's the Wayne's World? Not Wayne's World. Mike Myers.
Mm-hmm. Dana Carvey.
He fashioned Dr. Evil after Lorne Michaels. Like that.
No way.
Yeah, Dr. Evil is Lorne Michaels, like the way he talks and like his mannerisms. Yeah.
Do you think Lorne Green has a Lorne Michaels? What did I say? Lorne Green?
Yeah.
Lorne Michaels has a sense of humor about it?
Oh, 100%. There's a great story where Pete Davidson, Lorne Michaels like made some like gesture to him, like invited him, like, oh yes, you should come and hang out with me, like I go vacation in like Jamaica, and like, you know, just like one of those things.
Queens?
And Pete Davidson like took him up on the offer, and like next thing you know, he's like in his house, and it's like just Lorne Michaels, who's like a 70-year-old like man, and Pete Davidson, who at that time was like in his early 20s,
his boy toy.
and it's like his boss, you know what I mean? And they're like hanging out like in Jamaica, and like, you know, he really wasn't even invited.
That's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
I saw, I guess, I don't know if it was, I don't know when Pete Davidson left Saturday Night Live. Like, he was on Weekend Update.
Yeah.
And he did a whole monologue.
It's like a year ago or something.
Oh, is it that long? I don't really watch the show, so like, unless I hear something funny.
I don't watch it either. Nobody watches these shows anymore. Everything's on YouTube now. Like, you see the clips that you need to see on YouTube.
Oh, so I do what the kids are doing. Sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, look at me. I'm a youngin'.
Joshua's vision. Joshua 5, verse 13. Once, when Joshua was by Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing before him with a drawn sword in his hand. You think that's metaphorical? A drawn
I got
sword
questions
in his
about
hand?
this. Yeah, keep going.
Joshua went to him and said to him, "Are you one of us or one of our adversaries?" He replied, "Neither, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come."
Oh, shit.
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and worshipped. And, you know, that's like face down, ass up.
That's the way I like. Yeah.
And he said to him, "What do you command your servant, my Lord?" The commander of the army of the Lord said to Joshua, "Remove the sandals from your feet. The place where you stand is holy." And Joshua did so. Yo, if this ain't some metaphorical gay shit, I don't know
I
what
highlighted
is.
the whole thing because I got questions.
Go ahead.
One, did this, and when I asked, did this really happen? I mean, do the authors think this really happened, or was this just that, a vision? Was it a dream? Was it some hallucinogenic like thing that happened? Or,
That's a good question. That's a very good question. And I will say, if you believe that Joshua is a prophet being someone who is in direct communication with the Lord,
okay,
then you would have to say that this vision is not just some like schizophrenic, like, you know, outer body experience, but in fact like a vision. If that's what your opinion is.
Okay, so let's go on it like he is a prophet. This happened.
Okay.
He said, "Are you one of us or one of our adversaries?" And the guy replied, "Neither, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." So this presence in front of him is the commander of the army of the Lord.
I gotta say, this sounds sort of like not the angel of death, but it sounds like a high up like angel.
So that's what I'm asking. Is this God or is this one of his henchmen?
It's not God.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. And then he fell on his...
And the place where you're standing is holy. I didn't understand that either.
Oh, you know what? What do you command your servant, my Lord? And Lord is usually capitalized and in a different font, and it's not in this case.
This is my Lord, just like my liege.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you ain't God, but you're pretty. You're higher than me.
Yeah,
so.
you're a Lord. You're not. You're not Your Majesty. You're my Lord.
And when he says the commander of the army of the Lord, that's in capitals in the funny font.
Correct.
So, all right. So this is God's commander in chief. Because, you know.
It's his, what do you call it? It's the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. Oh, and by the way, take your sandals off. They're fucking nasty. This is a holy place. The fuck's
He's
wrong
taking
with
his
you?
sandals off to throw them at you for going off on Moses.
Get out of my spaceship with them nasty sandals. Like, clean those fucking toes.
Yeah, the place is holy, and holy
Fucking-
means clean.
yeah,
like, yo, shit's clean. Take off your fucking gross sandals.
Yeah.
All right.
So the party I went to yesterday, the place I go to, they've got a young child, and they like people to take their shoes off.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people have feelings about that, but whatever. I respect the cult. But they were having some heating issues. It was like frigid in New York the last 48 hours, and their floor was cold. So they ended up buying like little booties for everybody, so you were allowed to keep your shoes on, put booties
nice.
on. That was
That's
nice.
very thoughtful.
It was very thoughtful.
When did they have time to do that? Maybe that was even pre-planned. Like maybe they were going to give you little booties anyway. It doesn't sound like shoes are the problem. It sounds like the dirt on the bottom of the shoes.
Well, of course, that's
is
what
the
it is.
problem.
Yeah. So
I
like,
respect that.
Of course I do. But I know a guy, and if he's listening, and I know he listens, he used to say, "Oh, this guy makes me fucking take my shoes off every time I go to his house. I leave, my socks are black because his house is so fucking filthy."
Oh, well, then,
and then he has a point, right?
well, if the floors are dirty, then that's silly, right?
It's defeating the purpose of like
Right.
yeah. So why doesn't Yahweh like come up with some booties, like hazmat suits? I guess they didn't have the materials yet.
Newsflash, because Yahweh doesn't give a fuck about these people. Yeah. He doesn't care.
Oh, and by the way, take your sandals
What
off.
have you
That's
done
funny.
for Yahweh lately? That's
Right.
what Yahweh's about. Yahweh's about Yahweh.
So Joshua saw an angel. We're calling anybody that's not God, but it's got like a ladder to God. We're gonna call him an
Sure.
angel. All right, he's an angel.
But why are we stunned? Because he's already had conversations with Yahweh. So
Yeah, well, I just wasn't
seeing
sure.
like
That
an
was
angel
worded
is
funny.
no like.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So that gets us to Joshua 6. Jericho taken and destroyed. What's so funny?
I was thinking if you change it to like a sex thing, and like Jericho is a person.
Jericho
Took him and
destroyed, man.
Like they did to that prostitute in that
Yeah,
house.
whose
last
pussy
week.
is this? Blowing it up. All right. By the way, listening back to that episode, I wasn't entirely sure what you were saying when we were doing the show.
Oh, that's shocking.
Well, look, it is hard because one, you're trying to stay on the narrative of like the Bible, right? So
Yes,
like you
you
got to
are.
keep that like in one part of your brain. 2, you want to get your own jokes out. And 3, you also want to listen to. So it's like I do my best to like balance all 3 of those things. And sometimes like I miss what you're saying. So as I was listening back, first of all, it was funny when you had the sandals joke. When you were like, I just don't want people throwing sandals at me on the street. That shit was fucking funny. And just like your whole like thing about, not that it was funny, but it was out there. I mean, listen, you went for it. You committed to that skit, about
I'm glad
like
you listened to it and like you
about like the spies being overheard, being caught because that was their kink. Their kink was like, like making her know like what they're there for and like who's your boss. All right. By the way, Jericho, did you watch that show?
I did.
Nah, it seems like a show you'd watch.
Yeah, I
Amy
totally-
watched
I
that
totally
show.
watched it.
I didn't watch it.
I
I don't like what's his name. He annoys.
Skeet Ulrich. I never heard of him.
there is something about him, bro.
I never heard of him before that show. Like
He
you
was-
knew of him?
Yeah, he was in As Good as It Gets.
Mhm,
As Good as It
so,
Gets was with Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, and Craig Kinnear. Never saw that movie.
That's a lot of B actors right there.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt actually wound up winning Academy Awards for that movie. Jack Nicholson actually wound up getting a liquor store shut down in New York City because after they wrapped that movie, he was going to JFK down to Van Wyck. He told his driver to pull off the Van Wyck, and he went into a liquor store to get some liquor, and he started hanging out with like the owner of the store, and they
kinda
started
remember this
drinking,
story,
and it got
yeah.
like the store shut down.
Oh, nice move, dick.
So I know Skeet Ulrich from that, and he was in Scream. He was like the
really give a-
boyfriend, like the main boyfriend in
I think it's
Scream.
Scream. I like Jericho, and if your wife watched it, she'll probably remember that the show was canceled before it was resolved,
Yes.
and when there was the whole campaign.
No.
So one of the guys says like nuts, or we'll give them nuts, or like we ain't gonna like. So nuts was a thing. So they had a writing campaign. All the fans were like, just give us like one more season to finish the story at least. How's
Yeah.
his end? So people started sending like bags of nuts to the studio to the point they had to like rent out a warehouse to store all the nuts that people were sending. It was almost like a Star Trek-esque like writing campaign.
You know what? At that point, just hire like a writer and put out like a script of like what happened. You know what I mean?
They brought it back for like I think 4 episodes just to close it out.
Right.
It may have been a whole season, but I kind of remember 4 episodes.
And it probably wasn't satisfying.
It was okay.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. So Jericho taken and destroyed. Joshua 6. Now Jericho was shut up inside and out. Now Jericho was shut up inside and out because of the Israelites. No one came out and no one went in. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have handed Jericho over to you, along with its king and soldiers. You shall march around the city, all the warriors circling the city once. Thus you shall do for 6 days, with 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. On the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, the priests blowing the trumpets. When they make a long blast with the ram's horn, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat, and all the people shall charge straight ahead." Those are very, very, very specific.
Yeah, I know what he's doing here,
instructions.
But I want to get back to the beginning and make a little joke. So now Jericho was shut up inside and out because of the Israelites. No one came out, no one went in. Do you think like everybody in Jericho was like, yo, they're there. Shut the lights out. Shut the lights out. Pretend we're not home. Don't answer the door.
Yeah, it's like Jehovah's on a Sunday morning.
Nobody here. Move on to the next city. Like, remember the original Star Wars?
You know what you need? You need the maid from Family Guy.
Housekeeping?
He not here.
Oh, right. No
one home.
That's funny. You remember the original Star Wars when they're looking for the droids?
Yes.
And the stormtrooper's like, let's go door to door. And the guy knocks on the door. He goes, door's locked. Move on to the next one. I'm like, that's a hell of a search, guy. Maybe they were hoping for something like that.
Stormtroopers. I mean, so a copy of a copy isn't as sharp as the copy.
Right.
So when you're cloning an entire army from like Jenga Fett, you got to figure like the 12,000th copy isn't going to be as sharp.
True.
You know? And who knows how many they cloned.
Replicative fading, it's called.
There you go.
Concept,
even as advanced as society is, you clone enough and there's going to be degradation.
So maybe they should have named him Jango Fett. It should have been Jenga Fett. And every clone, they pulled another block out. And eventually, the fucking thing comes collapsing down.
Like a house of Jenga.
House of Jenga, yeah.
All right. So, what else? You want to...
Oh, yeah, I do. So you know what? You know what the reason they're doing this? First of all, this is an exhausting thing to do before a battle. Mm-hmm. Like, you're walking around this city. I'm assuming it's a small city because they walk around it once every day for 6 days and then 7 times in the 7th day. Mm-hmm. This is psychological warfare.
Yeah.
They're totally fucking with the inhabitants.
This is what the CIA did to Noriega.
Right.
So Noriega was a dictator in Panama, and he basically had a bank where he would take all this drug money. So like Colombians' drug money, like the cartels in Colombia, the Cali cartel, and the what do you call it cartel? The the famous guy. How am I not forgetting his name?
Pablo
Escobar, and I forgot the name of their cartel for some reason. So anyway, so the Cali cartel was even bigger than his fucking cartel, but that's neither here nor there. So a lot of money went into Panama, and like we went to arrest Noriega because, America never fucking does anything illegal with their money. There's nothing like shady about that. This was at the time that like Iran-Contra was going on.
Well, that was for a good cause, man.
That's neither here nor there. And we surrounded like his palace, Noriega's palace, and started playing Van Halen.
Right.
Van Halen is what and he went crazy. After like 3 days, he surrendered himself.
It could have been like one day if it was like David Hasselhoff music.
It's funny, like, because if it was me, I'd be like, oh shit, they're playing Van Halen, son.
Man, are they playing Eruption again?
Dance
that was
the
Van
night
Halen,
away.
right?
Eruption, yeah.
I'm not into instrumentals, but that was kicking.
Eruption is like where Eddie Van Halen just goes fucking insane, like on the frets, and just like, yeah, it sounds amazing.
So where does the term "don't fret" come from?
Don't fret?
Yeah, don't fret, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fret means worry.
Yeah, but frets are also the thing on a guitar. I wonder if there's
Yes,
like a
it probably has a different meaning though.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right.
So, I made a highlight here in Joshua 6 verse 8. where it starts off as Joshua had commanded the people. Because again, I want to point out to you that like Yahweh gives Joshua instructions, and they're crazy instructions. Like march around with trumpets and for this day and around this side and this and that. Like there's a lot of detail to what they're supposed to do.
It's a good sound military tactic, though.
But the old generation would be like, oh, you know, like they would have done only like 5 days. And then like, so I want to point out to you, or even Moses would be like, you want me to go down and tell these people, like, you know, like there's always like talk back and like, and Yahweh got sick of that shit.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not going on. They are following instructions to the T. From Yahweh to Joshua, from Joshua to his commanders, and from those commanders to the people, shit's getting like fucking obeyed.
Well, this is new day, new boss, day one. They're still motivated. Like, hey, change. Like Moses, 40 years of nonsense.
Sure.
Well, they were bitching early on, but they were mostly bitching about no food and no water.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm going to give them, I don't know. Listen, man, I don't know. They're like, yeah, we're going to blow trumpets. Yeah, the Moses crew on the 7th day would walk around like 5 times. They're like, where'd they go? And find them playing with idols and shit.
Well, I mean, look,
some Jericho who is.
If I drop you off at the store and you're like, I'll be right back, right? The way Moses told him, yo, hang out, I'll be right back. I drop you off at the store.
Yeah.
And you're gone for like 40 days. At a certain point, like, I'm going to leave.
Yeah, I got it.
So they do everything. Like, they do everything that is asked of them. That gets us to Joshua 6, verse 15. On the 7th day, they rose early at dawn and marched around the city in the same manner 7 times. It was only on that, so they're in the middle of a siege, is what it is. It's a siege. It was only on that day that they marched around the city 7 times. And at the 7th time, when the priests had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, shout, for the shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in shall be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers we sent. All right, I'm going to stop there, but I want to continue, but I want to ask you real quickly.
You got the stage, man. You got it.
Do you think he really went into like this detail, like this exposition about Rahab and all the people and like why? Like, why not just say, yo, save everyone in this particular house? Why did he have to go into because she did this? Or is he just reinforcing like...
Well, because people have short memories.
Yeah.
And someone probably was like, why are we saving this bitch and her fucking bitch family? Fuck her. All
right.
So we had to remind them.
All right.
Yeah, they're not stiff necks, but they're not, they're not the best memories either. And it's 40,000. Maybe not everybody got the memo.
All right. He continues. Yeah. As for you, keep away from the things devoted to destruction, so as not to covet, and take any of the devoted things and make the camp of Israel an object for destruction, bringing trouble upon it. But all silver and gold and vessels of bronze and iron are sacred to the Lord. They shall go into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted, and the trumpets were blown. As soon as the people heard the sound of the trumpets, they raised a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. So the people charged straight ahead into the city and captured it. Then they devoted to destruction by the edge of the sword all in the city, both men and women, young and old, oxen, sheep, and donkeys. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So let's start from the end here, man.
All right, you want to start at the end? You don't want to start with the part where he's like, yo, you don't want to keep any of that dirty shit except like gold and silver. That's Yahweh's all about that shit.
Yes, I got to say this. I'm being forced into battle. And listen, I would like to think I'm going to be honorable. But if I'm killing this whole family and taking some of their gold and the silver, I'm taking the Xbox too, man. Yeah. Ain't nobody going to miss the Xbox. So I'm taking it with me. I'm making that coffee to go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Yahweh's priorities are all fucking screwy. He wants to keep the money, but he wants to kill the people. I gotta figure these are instructions from Yahweh.
That's not like a bad idea. Fuck you do with all these people.
So again, let's emphasize Then they devoted. Listen to the wording that's used. They devoted, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were to define devote, it's like put all of your effort into a particular endeavor, right?
Well, it's also compartmentalizing things. You know, you devote this to destruction, you devote this to the treasury, you devote this to Rusty's pocket, you devote this to Scott's pocket.
Right.
It's more like a.
You think so?
It's not a devotion like you're. Well, listen, you got to be pretty devoted to like killing everybody in the fucking. So I'll say this, man. Remember I was talking about New Hopes?
To devote.
Mm-hmm.
Give all or a large part of one's time or resources to.
Oh, damn.
So it's like jumping in, like, you know, like committing to something. To devote is to commit to something.
I don't know.
I'm a devoted Christian.
Yeah, all right. So
you don't know what? I just read you the definition.
But I'm gonna tell you, like in you know, street vernacular. Like when I have an inventory of supplies for stuff, I would be like, "Oh, these are devoted to this project. These are devoted to that project."
But the Bible isn't using street vernacular. The Bible is using the vernacular of the Bible. Then they devoted to destruction by the edge of the sword.
No. Go back up to verse 18. As for you, keep away from the things.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Verse 18. But all silver and gold and vessels of bronze.
That's not what I'm reading.
Yeah, Joshua 6.
Joshua 6:18.
I'm sorry, go ahead. As for you, keep away from the things,
Keep away from the things devoted to destruction,
like
so as
idols.
to not covet. Keep away from the things that are devoted to destruction. That means they're designated for destruction. Things can't be devoted. Only humans can be devoted
things
in that definition.
Devoted to destruction.
So that fits my definition.
So as not to covet. So what is devoted to destruction?
If there's 30 items in front of you, these 10 here, these are devoted to destruction. These 10 are devoted to that project over there. These 10 are for the house.
But what are we
over
devoting to destruction? How do you...
Everything but precious minerals that Yahweh needs. So I'm saying devotion here doesn't mean like a human emotion, like a devotion to something. It's just a designation for like, this is to be destroyed, this is to be saved.
In this sentence. But in this sentence,
I think
then they devoted to destruction.
So we're talking about two different meanings. You're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I'm always right.
Okay, but don't know him, motherfucker. You can't say that because he's using the street vernacular for like shit is devoted to.
Yes, in the other sentence, in the other context.
All right.
All right. So then they devoted to the destruction by the edge of the sword all... listen to this language.
Wrong, man.
Devoted to destruction by the edge of the... Well, okay. So we've had our difference of opinion.
Here we go.
So let the audience decide who's right.
No, I'm not done arguing with it. Men, women are devoted to destruction.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with my devotion to killing them. They are devoted. They're designated for destruction. They devoted to destruction by the edge of the sword, all in the city, both men and women.
Okay.
We are declaring we're killing these people. We're devoting them to destruction.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah, we are going to go with that. It's all right, man. It happens once in a while.
We'll go with that.
But again, why the...
I think you're wrong, but I'm just done
right.
arguing.
That's fine. I get it. We'll move on.
So they kill everybody in a very calculated way.
Yeah. But something needs to come back and bite them in the ass. Again, the oxen, sheep, and donkeys.
I want to stop for a second.
All right.
Because I think in today's modern world, we take for granted, right? In this world of like movies and video games and like drone strikes on weddings that we don't even see, committed by men sitting in a room in like Fort Lauderdale or Las Vegas, controlling like a fucking remote control fucking bomber.
It's a strange place
around
to
the
control
world,
it
right?
from, but okay.
And then they like kill like 80 people. Oops, accidentally. And then they leave and get in their car that's parked like next to the building, and they drive home and they eat dinner. So that's the world we live in, right? Yeah. So when we talk about the destruction by the edge of the sword, all in the city, okay?
Ugh, it's gross.
We're talking about being on top of the people that you're killing, killing them with a blade, like slicing through their skin, hearing their screams,
hearing the skin slicing,
seeing them dying, an entire city, a massacre, right? I think viscerally, it's easy to like gloss over that and not like really see yes, oh wow, they killed everybody, but you're not really understanding viscerally what has occurred here.
So to that point, the good point, you should bring that out all the time. Just like that, we had to go into detail about what impaling is.
Yes.
So the next time some fucking right-wing nut job says, it's the video games and the movies and the rap music that's causing the violence. Maybe it's that fucking Bible you're thumping.
It's the Bible, bro.
Maybe that's what's desensitized everybody. Yep. Damn.
Yep.
Glad you brought that up, man.
Yep. So they did everything that, like Joshua said. They brought out, like, the prostitute's family.
Well, I'm sorry. Again,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
The oxen, sheep, and donkeys.
The oxen, sheep, and donkeys.
You have to feed 800,000 people. Mm-hmm. Why would you kill the animals?
I have.
Oh, there's so many crops in the supermarket?
Maybe they weren't treated properly. Maybe they weren't holy.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
These are dirty animals.
Yeah. Like, you don't know. Like, remember, like, you're supposed to kill, like, the firstborn. And, like, there's all these rules. So you got to start from scratch here because you don't know where they're at.
Yeah. There's no K with a circle around it.
Yeah. There's no R or whatever it is, right?
You know what
U.
I'm talking
It's
about.
the U. There's like a U symbol with a circle around it. Yeah, I know. Scott's anytime like I acknowledge something about Judaism, Scott's eyes like light up. He's like, yeah. I knew it. I knew you knew. I knew it.
Yeah.
Hiding that shit from me.
Listen, I didn't even talk about that you had a part-time job in Brighton Beach doing taxes. Like I didn't even jump on the trope.
I was like running the office.
Yeah, of course you were.
Yeah. So
people run things
with money. So that gets us down to the end now. So the hooker's been saved. The town's been overrun. Everything is like done. And in Joshua 6, verse 26, Joshua then pronounced this oath, saying, "Cursed before the Lord be anyone who tries to build this city, Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn, he shall lay its foundation, and at the cost of his youngest, he shall set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land.
Okay. Why do this then? Why kill everybody and everything and wreck the city and then not rebuild it? You could have just left these fucking people alone. Just passing through. You're on our land now. We'll fuck you up later if you act out of line. But if you're not even going to utilize this space, you murdered for murder's sake. Tell me I'm
wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, of course I am.
Because I'm assuming they're not going to establish their city-state in this location. You can't leave other city-states in your land. In other words, this is our land now. There's not going to be a city here, but this is our land. So as they're on their way through now, they're going to start taking over. I'm assuming.
I guess you don't want a bad influence in your fucking land. All right, fair enough. But I want to fast forward 6,000 years later. If we found out where Jericho was, think there's some real estate development going on there?
If we found out where Jericho was, do I think there's...
Yeah, where Jericho was, in modern day, wherever this is, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
In Canaan, wherever the fuck that is.
Do I think there's shit there now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
Because we need to go there.
And tear it down?
No. Like, find out whoever built it and kill their firstborn. It's very fucking clear here.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, you're very passionate about killing people who
I'm just
don't
saying,
follow
man.
the rules of the Bible.
I will say this.
You're like a step away from voting for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
For what?
She's like, so that stupid Chinese spy balloon, you've been following that.
Of course,
we shot it down. Have you seen the video of us shooting it down?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she came out and she was like, President Trump, our former great President Trump would never. He would have shot it down immediately. Meanwhile, like reports just came out. There were like 3 of those that he like covered up.
Well, she didn't know.
I don't know if it's true. I haven't really delved into it yet. You know what I mean? Come on.
Well, I'll tell you this about that.
It's funny because we're spying on them too. It's all about like who gets caught. You know what I mean?
What's funny is, and I said this about 9/11. What happened was, if terrorists blow up the parking garage under the World Trade Center and there's no formal response, terrorists blow up some Marine barracks in Africa, there's no response. The targets get bigger and bigger. And now we find out there was a Chinese weather balloon went over Guam. Yeah, that's an American territory. Okay, they didn't do anything. We'll send one over Hawaii. It's a state, but it's fucking Hawaii. You know what I mean? Oh, now we'll just send one over the continental United States. Look, the fucking libtards didn't do anything about it, but you allowed it to escalate because you didn't nip it in the bud. If any of it's true, by the way.
I would argue.
Any of it's true.
I would argue.
You would just argue. You can just end your statement with that, man. You would just argue.
Well, I would argue that a more sophisticated view
of course,
of every single one of those terrorist attacks that you mentioned was in order to get us to respond. And we didn't respond.
They were poking the bear, man.
If you see Osama bin Laden's rationale for all of his actions, it's to do exactly what America wound up doing. Like sinking its money into a fucking meaningless war against an invisible enemy, sowing dissent within the country over such a thing, bankrupting the country, and all of his provocations led to exactly what he wanted. He wanted to provoke us. He wanted responses from us.
You think that's what China wants to do? I don't think so.
No, I think China just is like, oh, shit. I think a lot of people went to jail and disappeared over this in China.
You think so? Yeah.
Oh, what are you, crazy?
What was funny is...
Can you imagine how shamed they are? Like, one of their spy fucking, like... By the way, why not a satellite? Why not a spy satellite?
Well, people said that. Like, why not a spy satellite? They have the spy satellites just like we do.
Yeah.
And I will present this. This shit don't work. All their shit is based on, like, stolen fucking... intellectual property. All this shit doesn't work. I've got a fucking vacuum that I bought real cheap from China. It's still stuck in a corner for like 3 days. It's still spinning around.
They're so good
shit
at
doesn't
math,
work, man.
Like, have you seen their
They're
math
so
scores?
Good at math. Wait,
their national
those
math scores.
Are good in math, huh?
Yes, the Chinese are famously good at math.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe in your circles that you run in.
I mean, just like the American basketball team is famously awesome, the Chinese are famously good at math. What do you want me to tell you?
That's definitely not that's not equal. What do you call that?
That's 100% equal.
Yeah, okay. So 11 dudes that play basketball are really good at basketball, but the entire Chinese population is good at math.
No, I didn't say.
What about that?
I didn't say the entire Chinese population.
Man. What about that kid that can't do math? You just ruined his life. Not that they're getting this broadcast in China. That Iron Curtain over there.
So, I mean, that whole thing is fucking funny with the fucking balloon.
It is pretty funny. But it was see, how are we going to react? Just throw it up there. And I love how they say, oh, it was just a weather balloon. Well, if you knew it was going to go over other countries, wouldn't you? Hey, guys, we got a balloon coming your way. Don't go to DEFCON 1 over this shit.
Yeah.
What would have been cool is if we had the technology to send like something up there to like grapple it and like bring it down whole. That would have been a fucking kick-ass thing to do.
We don't have anything fucking cool like that.
I know.
I got to tell you, the pandemic really exposed how incompetent our fucking government is and how unprepared we are for even the most minor fucking like emergencies. We didn't have like anything. We didn't have ventilators.
You're wrong.
We didn't have masks. Go ahead.
I've heard it on the news, man. Probably MSNBC, probably.
Fake
that
news.
Obama handed Trump like how to handle a crazy pandemic outbreak, and Trump ripped it up and threw it in the garbage.
No,
I heard it, man. I heard it.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. That might very well be the case, and Obama might have been able to handle that better. Maybe, probably. I mean, he's much more competent for sure. Much smarter.
He would have sang to the virus, danced
much
with
smarter, much more politically savvy. No, I get it. Obama probably would have handled it better, but it would not have been good enough. Like the pandemic still would have raged. Things still would have shut down. People still would have gotten a $2,000 check and that's it. Businesses still would have been bailed out because that's what Obama did when he got into office. He bailed out businesses and fucked like the people over.
All those loans were paid back.
But you don't have to look just even at state levels. Look at, we had a Democrat in office that CNN sucked off for fucking 2 years. Cuomo, our governor in New York, right? Yeah. Andrew Cuomo was the darling of nightly news. They put him up in contrast to Trump. Like his press conferences, he was like the daddy, you know, he was like the big dick like energy that like on him all these women like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And what was going on at the end of the day outside of like competent looking rhetoric during news conferences? He was fucking killing people in like nursing homes. He wasn't distributing federal funds. They were being like all fucking tied up through like red tape because he wanted a piece of like every single thing. Like nothing can get done legislatively in Albany under him because he had his hand in everything because he had friends and his friends needed to have their hand. It's like the whole... So, our government does not function in emergencies because the people are the last priority. It's all of these other interests. And how are they going to get theirs during this? Right. You please tell me how public funding, public taxes, funded the research, funded mRNA, and funded specifically the coronavirus vaccines. Tell me now how Pfizer has the fucking nerve, to tell us they're going to start charging for these vaccines, for boosters.
And what the fuck would I want to pay for a vaccine that's going to give me a blood clot and kill me?
Right.
Fuck Pfizer,
a heart attack on the football field.
Yeah, fuck Pfizer, man.
No, but you understand what I'm saying? It's fucking, bullshit. It's disgusting. Yeah. So our government... It's clear. Look at any hurricane. Look at any fucking disaster.
You gotta tell me, man. Yeah.
We have a dysfunctional government. It's exposed during any crisis. We cannot handle a crisis anymore. No. That country is gone now. It's gone. Like World War II, when fucking we had like nothing, and within like a year we had like the largest like army, navy, this, that, like... It was amazing what they did in a year, much less like fucking 4 years. Yo, our entire fleet was destroyed in Pearl Harbor. You understand? That was the whole point of Pearl Harbor. Except for the
aircraft carriers that were mysteriously not there on the day of the attack.
I mean, come on. And within 4 years, bro, 4 years, we're dropping a nuclear bomb on fucking Japan.
By the grace of God.
It's just... We can't do that anymore. We can't do that anymore.
But listen, you're gonna say that you're speaking the truth, but you're leaving out why. Immigrants.
Who?
We didn't let the immigrants in back then, man.
Immigrants are the problem.
We're wasting all our resources on the immigrants.
Right. You mean the immigrants that built like the railroads?
No, I'm not talking about the immigrants. No, not them.
Oh, that built like the skyscrapers.
No, not them.
And the subways.
No, not them.
Then the roads.
Not them.
Nice. And contributed like the food culture in this country.
No, not them. Okay. No. You know what I'm saying.
Sure. You know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know. Yeah,
those dirty, filthy immigrants.
Yeah, so let's talk about, before we close, let me just talk about the hua that they brought out of her house with her family. Like, they talk about...
Put a name. Put some fucking respect on her.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
Rahab. Whatever.
Rahab. Go ahead.
So her whole family was rescued, and they mentioned to this day her family's still in Israel, but this is at the time of the writing, not now. Yep. Like, I got mixed feelings on her. Like, you sold out your entire fucking people, and like you're still like, I think I'm not trusting her and her fucking descendants with anything. Like, you're gonna give me up on a heartbeat to save yourself and your family.
I can see, like, if you make an argument you can't trust her, but why not her descendants? Well, you're like
10 generations are gonna pay for what the fuck that rat did.
so you're following like Yahweh's like commands.
I don't know what I'm
like you're gonna
following,
blame the
I don't know how I feel
generations.
about her.
Yeah,
But you know what?
you're making it a skit. Why don't you go ahead?
I'll tell you what. Rahab probably became a prostitute because she couldn't make it in their society, or she was treated poorly. So she probably had no love for the society. She's like, "Oh fuck you! I gotta sell my shit," meaning her body, to make it in this society. Because like you don't give me the fuck. Like no. So you know what? Fuck that. You know what? She's a fucking hero to the Israelites anyway.
It's always fascinating watching you like work through like
Unraveling
like
in
the
real
obvious.
time. Yeah. So all right, so that light's red. I can hit the brakes.
All right. And on that note, I guess we'll see you next time. We're just gonna end it like that, just all abruptly, like.
Oh, we're gonna talk about something in the post show.
Yes. What are we gonna talk about in the post show?
We're gonna talk about how 6,000 years later, Jews are getting thrown off airplanes going from Miami to New York.
Why don't you come join us on our Patreon and check that out?
Patreon.com/Libel the Bible. See you there.